Hello and welcome to On Point. I'm Adam Hajost. Climate change has been described as the biggest threat to humanity. However, it got minimal coverage in last year's presidential debates. In the first debate, climate change was covered for only 82 seconds. CSUN communications professor Jessica Beatty says people might not talk about it because they might feel like a part of the problem.
I think that the big debate, and I feel like why people resist this idea, is that they feel some sort of guilt or blame. I feel like we focus a lot on the debate of what's causing climate change. You know, is it human induced? Is it natural causes? And I think that we need to shift that focus away from that, because no matter what, we see that the planet is warming. It doesn't matter if human beings are doing it, or I think overall we know that it's happening. So in what ways can we ensure that, again, the resources that we have available will still be available for your grandchildren, your children's children, for example?
Despite this, the United States has become a global leader in addressing climate change for the past decade. Last year, former President Obama joined the leaders of almost 200 countries in signing the Paris Agreement. The agreement aims to limit the increase in global temperature to less than 2 degrees Celsius. Sustainability efforts have been a huge priority on global and national agendas. And in California, the environment has been one of the state's biggest concerns. California has taken measures that include a ban on single-use plastic bags and a push for more recycling. Professor Beatty says climate change is an issue that affects everyone.
The planet isn't a red or blue issue. It's a human issue. And if we care about future generations, then we all need to work together to find better ways to ensure those resources are here.
Here at CSUN, a sustainability center is under construction and due to open in May. It's going to be a model of energy efficiency and environmentalism. An Associated Students Committee runs the sustainability program, providing education and efficient resources to recycle all across campus and services for people who are trying to minimize their carbon footprint. The Sustainability Education Program even includes a minor, and recently, vegan and vegetarian options have become available on campus. On Point's Rosa Rodriguez has the story.
Thanks, Adam. I want to thank our guests for being here today. We have Darien Siguenza, Associated Students Chair of Sustainability Committee. We have Austin Eriksson, Director of Sustainability and Energy, and we have Loraine Lundquist, Sustainability Professor. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Rosa.
Thanks.
So, what is sustainability? Let's start with Darien.
Well, I learned this from Professor Lundquist. Sustainability is meeting the needs of today without compromising the needs of the future. So they can be in realms of environmental, economic, social justice. It really encompasses a lot of things. And I think one of the most common things people think about is climate change, global warming. That's probably like our most prevalent issue that we're working toward right now, and sustainability definitely relates to that.
Austin?
That's probably the best answer. Kind of in my world would be mostly facilities related, so go into that, and energy conservation, water conservation, things like that.
Okay.
Well, I have to say it feels awesome to have a former student give such a perfect answer, so thank you for that, Jerry.
Wonderful. So let's talk about the Sustainability Center that's going to open in May. So this question is for Austin. What is the ultimate goal of having a Sustainability Center on campus?
So I think one of the bigger goals for that center is kind of a centralized location for all things sustainability on campus. It's going to be the most innovative building on our campus as well as in the CSU at this point. So it'll be a net zero energy building, meaning it's generating all of the energy it's consuming on site. It'll house our Institute for Sustainability as well as the AS recycling operations. So it's going to be kind of the hub of sustainability on campus.
And it's got lots of other cool features too,
yeah.
Right? Like composting toilets is sort of the most innovative thing that you might think of.
It'll be the first building with composting toilets. It has the first gray water system on campus. So water that's used in sinks will be kind of used outside of the building for irrigation. So yeah, there's
Reuse the water that people are washing their hands with, and then it goes to the plants instead of going off to the sewer.
Yeah.
So cool. And isn't it made out of recycled? I thought there was something about the construction.
Yeah, there's a million things to do with just how it was put together. A lot of the materials that's being used to put it together are all recycled or high recycled content. Yeah, I mean.
And solar
long
panels,
list,
and
yeah.
I think that they were allowing people to adopt a solar panel if there are people out there watching that want to donate.
Right. It sounds like a very ambitious project. My next question would be, what are some of the reasons why students don't know about the Sustainability Center that's opening on campus? Let's start with Loraine.
Well, that's a great question. I often hear from students asking about how come I didn't know about this particular, when they learn about something that we're doing on campus related to sustainability, they ask why they didn't know it. And we've been working, or we've recently, I think, really stepped up our marketing campaign. I think Austin can speak to that more, but we have more signs. We didn't used to have signs. We have a lot of signs now, which students might notice talking about what we're doing. But basically, it takes money to get the word out to a campus of 40,000 students, and most people just come on campus for a little while and then go to their classes, and we can try to reach them, but it's
Difficult.
It's hard to get the message out. Yeah. Do you want to say something about our marketing campaigns?
So she mentioned it's kind of difficult to reach out to a lot of students, staff, faculty, in general. A lot of people are kind of staring at their phones when they walk around campus, so they may not notice things being built, like a brand new building. But even if we put up signage, right, that's maybe not the most effective thing because they could walk right by it and not see it. So we do try. We have social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So we're trying to push out a lot of what we're doing.
Yeah, follow us on social media.
You just reached 1,000 followers, right? On Instagram?
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. That's
cool.
good.
Do you have anything to add to that?
I know that was something the AS Sustainability Committee was really thinking about this year, was like, how do we reach out to the people that might not have like the natural inclination to kind of look into sustainability or those related areas. And the thing that we came up with was to try to have on-campus events and just, talk about different areas of sustainability. We just had our Matadors for Sustainable Living event last Tuesday. We had that last semester as well, and we had a really good turnout. I would say at least like 400 students came through, and it was surprising because a lot of them really did have like a general knowledge of a lot of the topics. We talked about like transportation, like carbon footprint, energy conservation, like all that kind of stuff. And a lot of them had like the base knowledge, which was like a pleasant surprise for me because I wasn't really sure like where our campus was at, in terms of like student knowledge. But I think trying to create like those kind of like fun, we had like free food, fun kind of like engaging free stuff is always a good way, and drawing people in, and we did mention the center, and a lot of people didn't know about it, so I just think like stuff like that can definitely help with our student population.
What resources will be available once the Sustainability Center opens in May? Austin?
Yeah, so I mentioned before that the Institute for Sustainability will be in there, and they're kind of the main educational area for sustainability on campus, so they offer a lot of resources through their department, whether it be flyers, studies that they've done, volunteer opportunities, and then I think there's also a space in that building for holding like mini meetings, or if it's going to be like a little sustainability workshop, something like that.
Okay.
Well, maybe we should mention, for people who don't know, we do have an Institute for Sustainability on campus, and so the Institute for Sustainability will be housed there. And right now we have a sustainability minor, so if people are interested in sustainability, they can sign up for the minor, or they can sign up there's a GE path, which just means you can take just your general education course requirements in like a topic area, and there's a sustainability topic area for that. And we're working on getting a master's program as our next step.
Coming.
It's coming. It is coming. Not next year, but it is coming. We're working on that. And also in the Sustainability Center, I don't know if most people know that the associated students are actually the ones that run our recycling center, which is a pretty cool thing to have students in charge of that. And so that will all be housed there as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. So then this next question is for Darien. How did the need for a sustainability center come about?
I think from my perspective, like it was recognized that there's a lot of different groups on campus, and we all kind of have the same goal, you know, to promote sustainability on campus and educate our students. And I think it's going to be really awesome to have everyone under the same roof, because, you know, even though we have a lot of the same goals, sometimes, like for me, there might be something I might not know the Institute is already working on, or vice versa. And just to be able to have that collaboration in that same space, I think is going to be really beneficial for the future.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let's talk about some ways that we could be eco-friendly. So what are some ways that viewers and listeners at home can become more eco-friendly? Let's start with Darien.
One thing I always like to push is to go vegan. It's totally, yeah, it's totally, I know it's a big shift for many people, and I get that. I ate meat and dairy throughout high school, so I would say 5 years ago I made the switch. And not only do I feel great, but I just really, I believe like it's hard to call oneself like a true environmental advocate if you're still willing to consume those products. That's just my personal belief. So I would say, you know, in everyday changes, you can just change what you're eating. That's something like super easy you could do.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go all the way full vegan if you're interested in even just
some
like,
meals.
yeah, a meal, one meal a week is you know, like switching out a hamburger for like a veggie-based burger just once a week is like the equivalent of at least in terms of water use, it's like the equivalent of not showering at all ever again. You know, people talk about like taking shorter showers and things like that, and that's what people are often encouraged to do with a drought. And it also reduces greenhouse gas emissions, and it's you know, it doesn't have to be a huge full lifestyle change, which is that's a big change for most people, but just making a different choice occasionally does make a big difference also.
Austin, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think for people at home, some easy changes they can make would be like changing some of their lights out to LED lighting, right? LEDs are more efficient than traditional lighting, even more efficient than a CFL, which didn't come out too long ago. And obviously they'll save money on their utility bills as well. Maybe switching out some of their landscaping to more native drought-tolerant vegetation versus putting in tropical plants when you live in kind of an arid area. So.
There are a lot of things that you can do that actually save you money and are, you know, easy to do. Like, I mean, going vegan might be like a big thing for people, but there are things that you can change once, like the light bulbs, for example. You change them once and then they use less electricity and they save you money for the rest of the lifetime of the bulb, right? So that one time, this quick change can really make a big difference. And even just things like driving differently, like keeping the airs in your tires pumped up if you drive, that actually can reduce the amount of fuel that you use by like 10% if you keep your tires pumped up regularly. So it saves you money on gas, and it's really not that hard.
Thank you. What are some ways that you can reach out to people to bring awareness about sustainability? And let's start this question with Darien.
Yeah, I think I would like to say, like, the Associate Student Sustainability Committee, we have openings officially, but we also are always like welcoming students to come in and just join the meetings or even get on board with projects or give us some ideas. So that's something we like to do, is just, we have social media as well. I think that's a huge tool that we're using to try to push to get more student involvement. But also, I just really have found effectively just word of mouth. I've talked to a lot of my friends and just kind of chatted them up about a lot of different topics, and several of them even signed up for the minor just from just everyday conversation. I think just sharing what you know is one of the best things you can do, and I find that most people are pretty receptive considering where we live on this campus especially.
Thank you. We interviewed some students on campus. This is what some students on campus had to say about recycling.
Maybe more like recyclables everywhere, like in the classrooms themselves, because I only see trash cans. Like, there's no other thing, so everyone just dumps everything there.
They need to have them more distinguished in certain areas, so that way the students are well informed and they know where to look or where to dispose of those materials in the proper locations.
I feel like the school is providing like enough recycling bins on like every building and department, but it's just really hard to enforce.
3 division things I recycle, just at home I don't, because I don't want to take the time to separate it.
So what is your reaction to what some of these students had to say? Let's start with Austin.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that were mentioned, right? There maybe not enough bins on campus,
right,
and that maybe the signage on the bins could be a little confusing. So those are things we're working on actively. Actually, we have just printed out, 3,000 some odd stickers that actually say, landfill or trash. They'll have pictures of what should go in each bin, and then text about what those items are. And same thing for paper, bottles, cans, cardboard, every waste stream you can think of. We're going to put a sticker on each bin. We've started putting them on our desk side bins, as well as putting them in classrooms, even in our dumpsters that are outside behind buildings, right? So custodial staff that are taking trash from one bin that has a landfill sticker on it, they're taking it outside and they see the same sticker, it's going to go in that bin. So that's something we're working on now. We've been expanding through AS Recycling the recycling bins inside of buildings. They're a bit costly, so it's kind of a challenge to find funding for it, but we are working on it.
Loraine, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I agree with the students. We definitely can. It would be great to have more bins, and we are working on it. We should be working on it faster.
Trying.
I know, we're trying. We are trying. But I also would say that people really go to recycling. That is like one of the things that people talk about, and it's one of the least important sustainability things, I would say. I mean, reducing the energy that you use is a lot more important, and recycling is part of that. But reducing the amount that you drive, for example, changing those kinds of lifestyle choices regarding energy and transportation and electricity, the things that we already talked about, but also, even more important than personal lifestyle changes is actually getting involved and pushing policy changes from our government, because those kinds of changes, if just a few people call in, for example, to their representative, or especially their state representatives, we have our state government does a lot with sustainability related, and that can make huge changes across the whole state for just the time of a few phone calls.
Right.
Yeah.
Darien, is there something you want to say?
I totally agree with Dr. Lundquist. I think that there's a lot of importance placed on recycling and really truly getting your voice heard and speaking out about issues that you feel passionate about, calling state representatives. I mean, I think that is going to make a way bigger difference in the long run. I do understand, though, maybe the confusion that some students might have with different bins and what goes in which, and I know that they're definitely working hard on that, so I do see the concern from the students.
Thank you. Do you think that professors have any responsibility to encourage or enforce sustainability in their classrooms? We'll start with Loraine.
In our classrooms, encourage this, well, sure. I mean, I think sustainability is something that we have a responsibility towards all of us in every single part of all of our lives, basically. No matter what job you go into, no matter what field you're teaching in, because it's such an important, it's basically about our survival. It's about sustaining our species and our way of living and our livelihood. And we're facing some really big sustainability issues now that if we don't make some big changes are really going to have pretty scary consequences. And so we need everybody to get involved. So I think your question was, what should we be doing in classrooms? First of all, studying about it. I think a lot of people just don't know that much about the problems that we're facing, and those problems are truly interdisciplinary. They come up in every subject, or they could come up in every subject. Talking about the solutions, and yeah, sure, practices in the classroom. You know, we can assign things online more than handing out papers, for example, or encouraging people to think more deeply about their choices and about our future, really, is what it's about.
Thank you. Austin?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the professors have a lot more contact with the students on a daily basis than someone who works in facilities, right? So I think, Loraine teaches in our sustainability minor courses, so that's pretty awesome. But I think even, professors in business or media, wherever it might be, kind of even just infusing a tiny bit of sustainability, whether it may be turning into a paper online, right, versus a physical paper or anything like that will help, because whatever they're going to learn here, they're going to take with them as they continue on past CSUN, right?
Darien, is there something you want to add?
I think they really covered it. I think the interesting aspect is not having printout. Like, I had this one class where I had to print out every single reference I used for a paper, and it was 40 pages of paper. And I asked my professor if I could just print, the one title page just showing the author, and that was unacceptable. So I just think if a professor could consider that, that would probably be a beneficial thing.
It happens more often than not, yeah. I think. But it's a culture shift, and it's happening slowly but surely.
Yeah.
We also spoke to Associated Students Recycling Field Supervisor Rolando Valiente, and here's what he had to say.
The main goal, and I'm going to say, a main goal for the entire campus, not only Associated Students, is for the entire campus is to minimize and prevent waste. We want to make sure that we convey the message to the entire campus community, students, anybody that comes into campuses. Prevention of waste, meaning do not generate more waste than what we need.
My next question is, should Associated Students invest more money in getting more recycling bins on campus to deal with the large amount of waste from students? Austin?
Yeah, so Roland's the man. He hit it on the head, the nail on the head. Right, it's about waste prevention, not recycling, right? So us putting out bins is great. I mean, we should be doing that. It doesn't necessarily have to come from AS, right? I mean, it can come from campus. We've actually rewritten some of our contracts to help us with funding in the future for bins. I don't think that's AS's responsibility necessarily, but we should be doing it. But I mean, waste prevention, that's key, right? So we're sitting here talking about sustainability. I told Loraine I was going to do this. We're sitting around 4 plastic cups, right? So as you notice, I use the same cup every day. So I never contribute a cup to the, well, not never, but very rarely do I contribute a single-use cup to the landfill, right? Or whether it go to recycling. It still takes energy, greenhouse gas emissions to create that cup, and then again, we're going to go put it in a recycling plant, which still takes more energy to reconvert. So.
Right. So let's talk about climate change, actually. What are the leading causes of global warming? And let's start with Darien.
Yeah, from my understanding, I know agriculture is a big one, transportation is a big one, industrial processes. I think that our daily usage of energy, obviously we consume an obscene amount of product and energy in our daily lives, and everything that we use, like he said, plastic cup or a cheeseburger from McDonald's or a new top from Forever 21, like everything we purchase has a carbon footprint connected to it. And I think that just the society we live in, especially living in LA, you always have to be up on, the hottest trend or have the coolest thing. And while that might be like satisfactory in the moment, it's really contributing to this overall problem, and people have a big disconnect because they don't see like the connection between this one thing versus like this huge scale problem that we're having. So I think like the lifestyle that we lead is a really big cause of global warming.
We don't have that much time, but I want to get through this question. How do non-believers in climate change affect the efforts of those who push for a more sustainable campus? Let's start with Loraine.
Well, I haven't seen it be a big problem on our campus specifically. Maybe Austin can say otherwise. But it's certainly in our nation and in our politics. It's been a huge problem. And there's this perception that the science is not settled, which is not accurate. There's been a review of all of thousands and thousands of papers published in peer-reviewed scientific literature. Over 12,000 papers have been published on the topic, and 97% of those papers agree with the consensus that, first of all, our globe is getting warmer, and second of all, that we are the ones causing it. In fact, a lot of people think like it's partly nature and partly us. We're actually causing more than 100% of the change, because if we weren't here, the natural cycle would be cooling right now. So it really is caused by us. And that is not the perception in the country right now, and that really does change our politics. There's a lot of politicians that themselves have that skepticism, and it's made it very hard to implement solutions, because a lot of the most important solutions are policy solutions.
Right. Austin, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, unfortunately the politicians are ones with the big mics, right, that they're reaching out to the masses, so people are hearing it on the news that it may not be a real thing. And unfortunately they're not actually reading the thousands and thousands of papers that, kind of back it up. As far as on campus, I think, I don't know if I threw it a percent on it, it'd be like 99% of the campus is kind of on board with this movement. I haven't really experienced a whole lot of pushback, so.
Well, thank you so much. That's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you all for coming.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Ms. Stevens, I just wiped malware off our system. People have got to stop clicking unsolicited email links and downloading free software unless it's from a trusted source.
Sounds great.
We need a data backup plan in a separate location in case we get hacked.
We need to focus on making profits, not spending them.
Learn to protect yourself from ransomware. If you become a victim, contact your local FBI office.
Thank you for watching On Point. You can follow us on social media at CSUN On Point. You can hear us on KCSN 88.5 FM on Sunday mornings at 5:30. You can watch us on Santa Clarita Valley Television on Sundays at 11 and at 5, and on LA 36 on Saturday afternoons at 3. For all of us here at On Point, I'm Adam Hajost.